Level 1. Marketplace Scavenger. At the bedroom desk lit by marketplace pages at night, you refresh the laptop listings. You read €12,000 on a used watch listing beside the seller photograph. You copy the reference number into the notebook. Beside the laptop, you mark the asking price under the reference. You compare the screenshot folder against the open marketplace pages. On the phone, you open unanswered seller messages. You type a lower offer into the private seller chat. Between price checks, you press the cheap loop against a saved case photo. You carry the notebook to the coffee shop table. At the coffee shop table, you message private sellers between price checks. On the calculator display, you read a smaller margin after adding shipping and insurance. With the screenshot folder open, you compare platform fees against the asking price. You close a dealer video on the laptop. At the coffee shop table, you reach for the phone after a marketplace alert. You save the comparable listing into the screenshot folder. Before the first viewing, you sit on the train station bench with the backpack. You count the cash envelope twice against the notebook margin. Under the bench, you keep the soft watch roll zipped inside the backpack. You study the seller message on the phone before the lobby meeting. At the public hotel lobby, you stand near the seller with the envelope. The seller opens a small watch pouch across the lobby table. You place the cheap loop beside the watch pouch. With the seller watching, you check the case edge through the loop. You keep the envelope closed while the seller names the asking price. On the calculator display, you compare the offer against the expected margin. You trace the marketplace screenshot beside the hotel lobby watch. At the lobby table, you ask the seller for the reference again. You write the reference number beside the first notebook line. Across the lobby table, you compare the pouch watch while the seller waits. You lower the envelope toward the backpack instead of opening the cash. With the notebook open, you notice the spread has almost disappeared. You read the calculator display again under the lobby table light. At the public hotel lobby, you keep your voice low over the offer. You slide the calculator beside the notebook for a final comparison. The seller folds the small watch pouch after hearing your reduced number. You zip the cash envelope back inside the backpack. You hold the calculator beside the envelope and understand asking price is not market value. At the public hotel lobby, you keep the notebook open between your knees. You leave the soft watch roll inside the backpack under the lobby chair. Level 2. Box and Papers Believer. After the lobby meeting, you clear the kitchen table for boxes and seller photos. You place the green Rolex box with worn corners at the table center. You open the seller photo folder on the phone. Under the kitchen light, you compare the warranty card to the macro photo. You read the mismatched date on the warranty card. With the hang tag pinched flat, you check the printed reference number. You copy the bracelet code from a sticky note into the notebook. Across the kitchen table, you aim the UV flashlight at the paperwork. You read a foreign country on the folded purchase receipt. You set the service card beside the warranty card. At the pawn-style counter, you carry the green Rolex box under bright light. Under the bright counter light, you hold the hang tag. Beside the counter edge, you compare the printed reference to the bracelet code. You press the cheap loop against the engraved Rehot photo. The seller watches while you check the macro photo against the case engraving. You keep the cash envelope inside the backpack. At the pawn-style counter, you ask for more pictures through the phone. You trace the serial on the warranty card with a fingertip. Under bright light, you notice your reliance on the card exceeds your confidence in the watch. You place the service card on top of the folded receipt. In the back seat of a parked car, you inspect papers before payment. You hold the UV flashlight low over the warranty card. You compare the hang tag reference against the phone photo. Beside your knee, you keep the green Rolex box closed. You read the bracelet code from the sticky note again. After the parked car check, you carry the watch pouch into the small watch shop. You place the pouch on the technician's mat. The technician studies the dial while you hold the macro photo open. You wait with the warranty card flat in both hands. The technician points to the service card and asks for the history. You slide the folded purchase receipt across the mat. You keep the envelope sealed because the documents no longer feel protective. At the small watch shop, You read the mismatched date for a final time. You hold the green Rolex box away from the watch on the mat. With the technician silent, you understand full set can still carry risk. You gather the warranty card back from the mat. You hold the service card beside the watch and accept a slower check. At the small watch shop, you keep the green Rolex box closed near your elbow. You leave the warranty card flat on the technician's mat. Level 3. Spread Hunter. After the service card check, you enter the shared office corner. You open the spreadsheet with buy price, bid price, and expected profit. You sort model references into fast exits on the whiteboard. At the shared office corner, you call dealers with the steel sports watch beside you. You read 3 dealer bid messages on the phone. You compare the dealer bids against the spreadsheet buy price. Beside the shared office corner, you keep the plastic coffin case closed. You lower your offer after the first dealer bid. On the spreadsheet line, you mark expected profit beside the reference. You answer a price alert notification on the Marketplace app. Before the quiet cafe meet, you place the steel sports watch inside the plastic coffin case. At the dealer meet in a quiet cafe, you set the coffin case across the table. The dealer whispers a bid while you keep the spreadsheet line open. You read the bid message beside the quiet cafe table. You compare the cafe bid to the whiteboard target exit. Across the table, you push the plastic coffin case closer for inspection. You keep your phone face up for the incoming dealer messages. The dealer returns the coffin case after the bracelet check. You slide the coffin case back toward your side of the table. At the shipping counter, minutes before the courier cutoff, you print the shipping label. You read the insured value on the printed shipping label. With the courier counter ahead, you hold the coffin case inside the backpack. You compare the insured value against the bank app pending incoming wire. Behind the counter line, you decide whether the spread survives the shipment. After reading the label again, you hand the parcel over. The courier scans the label while you watch the bank app. You keep the receipt beside the phone. At the apartment floor, you sort watches by fast movers and problem pieces. You place the unpopular watch alone in the tray. Beside the tray, you update the spreadsheet with the dealer bid. You read pending incoming wire on the bank app. You mark the whiteboard target exit below the reference. On the apartment floor, you compare the height model to the unpopular watch. With the spreadsheet open, you understand expected profit means less than a cleared wire. You close the plastic coffin case around the steel sports watch. You hold the bank app beside the courier receipt and choose liquidity over excitement. On the apartment floor, you keep the spreadsheet open beside the tray. You set the unpopular watch at the far edge of the tray. You leave the plastic coffin case on the apartment floor beside the whiteboard. Level 4. Consignment Handler. With dealer bids behind you, you carry a consignor's watch into the small photo setup. You place the watch inside the light box with fingerprints on the glass. You mount the DSLR camera with macro lens in front of the light box. At the small photo setup, you photograph the bracelet from every angle. You tie the inventory tag to the bracelet. You circle scratches on the condition report. Beside the light box, you compare the condition report to the macro photo. You wipe fingerprints from the glass before the next angle. On the signed consignment agreement, you read the owner's declared terms. You carry the condition report into the meeting room. In the meeting room, you place the printed buyer offer on the table. The owner insists on a higher price, while you keep the offer visible. You point to the circled scratches on the condition report. You read the printed buyer offer below the seller's expectation. Across the meeting table, you slide the consignment agreement beside the offer. You explain the market through the buyer offer, not through optimism. The owner pushes the printed offer back across the table. You hold the condition report steady between the owner and the offer. At the meeting room door, you keep the tagged bracelet inside the pouch. You enter the safe deposit area with the inventory tag tied to the bracelet. You log the consigned inventory on the agreement page. At the safe deposit area, you seal the pouch with the inventory tag visible.
You read the declared value on the insurance form. You place the insurance form beside the signed consignment agreement. Behind the safe deposit gate, you store the tagged pouch in the tray. You close the tray after checking the inventory tag.
In the hallway, you answer the message thread from the impatient owner. You hold the printed buyer offer against the wall. You read the buyer offer below the owner's expectation on the printed page. Against the hallway wall, you soften the bad news into the phone. You open the message thread from the impatient owner. You type the offer amount into the message thread without changing the page. Beside the hallway doorway, you compare the condition report to the owner's reply. You pause with the insurance form and accept blame for every delay. With the signed consignment agreement in hand, you accept responsibility without owning the watch. In the hallway, you keep the printed buyer offer beneath the condition report. You hold the inventory tag photo beside the owner message and accept the delay. At the hallway wall, you fold the condition report under the consignment agreement. You leave the printed buyer offer flat against the hallway ledge. Level 5. Authentication Sentinel. After the consignment delay, you bring a suspect watch to the watchmaker's bench. You place the watch on the watchmaker's mat beside the caseback opener. The watchmaker waits while you photograph the case before opening. You hold the sealed evidence photo folder beside the watch. With the caseback opener ready, you ask for the back to be removed. The watchmaker removes the caseback under magnification. You set the opened watch beside the movement holder. You press the loop close to a dial marker. At the watchmaker's bench, you compare the marker to the evidence photo. You keep the movement holder close to the exposed movement. The watchmaker checks the movement while you hold the condition notes. You read poor performance on the time grapher display. Beside the display, you measure a lug with the caliper. You compare the lug measurement to the polishing gauge. At the back office, you carry the serial notes before any payment. You search the stolen watch database for the serial number. You read the stolen watch database search result twice. With the seller waiting, you keep the cash envelope away from the desk. You place the evidence photo folder beside the database search result. You draft a rejection message on the phone. In the quiet room, you photograph every flaw before declining the deal. You aim the loop at the dial marker for the final photo. You place the caliper beside the polished lug. Across the quiet room table, you compare the flaw photos to the service history. You compare the service history to the evidence photo folder. You keep the rejection message drafted but not sent. At the quiet room table, you pause with the opened photo folder. You understand with the opened photo folder why you must refuse the unclear sale. You put the phone beside the sealed evidence photo folder. The seller asks for an answer while you keep the watch on the table. You send the rejection message from the quiet room table. At the doorway scene, you carry the watch back in the pouch. You hold the pouch toward the seller without opening the cash envelope. The seller takes the pouch while you keep the evidence folder under your arm. You return the loop to your pocket. Inside the sealed evidence photo folder, you keep the caseback notes. You hold the rejection message on the phone and choose refusal over margin. At the doorway scene, you keep the empty cash envelope inside the backpack. You leave the suspect watch in the seller's hand at the doorway. Level 6. Cash Flow Prisoner. After the rejected watch, you enter the locked inventory room with slower hands. You pull the safe tray filled with slow-moving watches onto the table. At the locked inventory room, you open the inventory aging report. You read the day's unsold column beside each reference. You compare the safe tray to the aging report. Beside the tray, you mark the slow-moving watches in the report. You hold the insurance premium invoice against the locked cabinet. Inside the locked inventory room, you count obligations beside expensive watches. You close the safe tray before leaving for the bank office. At the bank office, you show the bank transfer confirmation marked pending. You read pending on the transfer confirmation page. Across the bank desk, you compare the pending transfer to the dealer credit note. You trace the repayment date on the dealer credit note. At the bank office desk, you keep the credit note open beside the confirmation. You place the insurance premium invoice under the pending confirmation. You leave the bank office with the pending page folded in the notebook. At the desk at night, you set unpaid invoices beside unsold watches. You read the overdue consignor payout beside the calculator. You compare the calculator total to the bank transfer confirmation. At the desk at night, you open the market price chart. You read 2021 on the market price chart reference line. Beneath the 2021 line, you trace the downward trend. You mark the aging report against the downward market price chart. At the desk at night, you keep the dealer credit note under your palm. You calculate the repayment date against the overdue consignor payout. On the calculator display, you read a total below the inventory value in front of you. You understand watches are claims on future buyers while reading the pending confirmation. At the courier pickup area, you hold insured parcels before payment clears. You read high declared value on the courier receipt. You compare the courier receipt to the bank app pending incoming wire. At the courier pickup counter, you feel exposed until the wire clears. You place the courier receipt beside the market price chart. You keep the insured parcels close until the pickup scan. At the pickup area, you read pending on the bank app again. You return to the locked inventory room with the courier receipt. Beside the safe tray, you place the courier receipt. You read pending transfer and accept inventory can trap your net worth. Inside the locked inventory room, you keep the aging report open on the table. You leave the safe tray filled with slow-moving watches inside the locked inventory room. Level 7. Reputation Broker. After the cash strain, you pin the watch fair badge to the lanyard. You enter the private dealer table at a watch fair with your contact list. At the private dealer table, you point to trusted names starred in the list. You greet a dealer while keeping the condition description in hand. The dealer studies the description while you hold the watch fair badge visible. You state the condition without exaggerated claims. Across the dealer table, you compare the repair estimate to the description. You keep the dealer contact list open beside the sealed return package. After a dealer introduction, you pause over the starred names. You add the trusted dealer to the contact list. At the watch fair table, you carry the dispute toward a quiet restaurant booth. In the quiet restaurant booth, you place the handwritten repair estimate on the table. You slide the printed condition description beside the repair estimate. The buyer explains the disputed issue while you keep the sealed return package closed. You read the repair estimate before offering a settlement. Across the booth, you place the refund receipt in front of yourself. You approve the painful refund with the buyer watching. The buyer signs the refund receipt while you keep the return package sealed. You fold the refund receipt into the contact list. At the back office, you open the sealed return package for inspection. You compare the returned watch to the printed condition description. Beside the desk, you set the thank you card from a repeat client apart from the dispute. You read the refund receipt again before closing the package. You seal the return package without argument. At the back office, you place the refund receipt under your contact list. You keep the condition description clean for the next buyer. Beside the sealed return package, you read the thank you card from a repeat client. In the group chat scene, you hold the phone above the dealer contact list. You read the dealer group chat before typing any answer. You draft a careful message about the disputed issue. With the dealer group chat open, you compare wording to the condition description. You send the careful message only after checking the repair estimate. At the group chat scene, you keep the watch fair badge beside the phone. With the phone above the badge, you choose clean exits as the price of access. You hold the refund receipt and accept the loss before any dealer repeats the dispute. With the phone in hand, you choose a clean description over a louder sale. You place the dealer contact list beside the sealed return package. At the group chat scene, you keep the phone face down near the badge. You leave the sealed return package on the back office desk. Level 8. Client Psychologist. After the reputation dispute, you enter the luxury hotel lounge with a velvet tray. You place 3 carefully chosen watches on the velvet tray. At the lounge table, you open the client preference sheet. You read motive notes beside the client budget. You set the champagne glass away from the negotiation space. The client asks for instant validation while you keep the tray steady. You guide the client toward the watch mirror. Beside the watch mirror, you study the wrist check without praise. You read urgent VIP messages on the phone. You place the phone face down beside the preference sheet. At the luxury hotel lounge, you compare the watches to the client motive notes. You remove the weakest choice from the velvet tray. In the private apartment viewing, you carry the velvet tray past the doorway. You place the tray where the client can see reactions in the mirror. The client watches faces while you check the condition honestly. You hold the discreet invoice without public brand language. Beside the watch mirror, you explain condition through the visible scratches. You read the client preference sheet before showing the next watch. You keep the champagne glass untouched during negotiation. When the client reaches for status, you keep the invoice closed. Inside the parked car, you take the quiet call after the client changes direction. You read urgent VIP messages on the phone screen. With the preference sheet on your lap, you slow the conversation. You compare the unsent purchase order to the market report. You leave the purchase order unsent on the phone. In the collector's study, you place the market report in front of the collector. You read the printed market report for a client who calls the watch an investment. The collector waits while you turn the report toward the hype model. You keep the velvet tray closed beside the printed report. You point to the preference sheet notes on motive and budget. At the collector's study, you hold the unsent purchase order. You advise restraint with the purchase order still unsigned. The collector looks at the tray while you keep the invoice discreet. You put the invoice under the market report. You understand wealth can disguise confusion when the purchase order stays unsent. With the watch mirror beside the tray, you choose the client's risk over the sale. You place the unsent purchase order beside the market report. At the collector's study, you keep the velvet tray closed near the printed report. You leave the unsent purchase order beside the market report in the collector's study. Level 9. Market Custodian. After the client restraint, you enter the private viewing room with fewer watches. You place the provenance binder beside the curated client book. At the private viewing room, you open the binder to invoices. You read service history beside ownership notes. Against long-term preferences, you match the curated client book. You keep the accepted watch inside the sealed safe drawer during the review. You place the personal guarantee letter on heavy paper beside the binder. With the client book open, you choose fewer pieces for viewing. You close the sealed safe drawer reserved for accepted inventory only. At the secure archive, you carry the provenance binder with both hands. You file magnified condition photos beside invoices and service history. You read ownership notes before adding the authentication report. Beside the archive shelf, you compare the provenance binder to the client book. You place the declined deal folder marked unclear source apart from accepted inventory. You keep the personal guarantee letter outside the declined folder. At the secure archive, you treat proof with care equal to the watch. You close the provenance binder with the condition photos filed inside. You carry the binder to the watchmaker's bench for mentoring. At the watchmaker's bench, you set the final authentication report before the younger dealer. You point the younger dealer toward the movement notes. The watchmaker confirms the report while you hold the provenance binder open. You let the younger dealer inspect the magnified condition photos. You keep the declined deal folder visible beside the accepted report. Beside the bench mat, you compare unclear source notes to clean ownership notes. You return the final authentication report to the binder. At the final decision room, you place the declined deal folder marked unclear source inside the room. You read unclear source on the folder label. The consignor waits while you keep the clean, empty tray uncovered. You compare the folder label to the personal guarantee letter. Beside the provenance binder, you set the guarantee letter back. You choose the empty tray instead of the unclear consignment. With the declined deal folder open, you refuse dirty money without raising your voice. You understand your name guarantees certainty when you keep unclear watches away. At the final decision room, you place the declined deal folder beside the clean, empty tray. You keep the sealed safe drawer reserved for accepted inventory only. With the provenance binder closed, you accept the role of trusted filter. You leave the personal guarantee letter on heavy paper beside the binder. You leave the clean, empty tray inside the final decision room.